Have you been wanting to get into cybersecurity and just don't quite know where to start? In fact, there's 3.5 million unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs out there because the industry does not have enough qualified individuals. But inside of this video, I'm going to lay out an exact roadmap step by step on how you can go on this journey of this amazing career, which is A, fun, B, you get paid really well, and C, there's always something to learn and something to do. And this job for the foreseeable future is going to be future proof because you are going to be in serious demand. This video is going to line out everything that you need to do in order to get started and go on your path to becoming a cybersecurity professional, no matter what your experience or your starting point. Let's jump in. So how do you go from zero skill inside of cybersecurity to becoming a complete professional? Well, I don't want to just mislabel this because this isn't just for people just starting off. This is also for people sitting within cybersecurity where you want a different job. This is an actual framework or a blueprint. I'm calling it a roadmap, but this framework in particular, if you're sitting in a current role outside of cybersecurity or within a role that you're not happy with and you want to transition to another one, utilizing this exact framework or this exact blueprint will give you the capability of being able to make that transition. So the first thing you need to do before we jump into this is commit to an action taker's mindset. Do not passively just listen to this. Utilize this video here and then the follow-up videos that include all of the detailed steps one by one on how to follow through on each one of these recommendations and these blueprint steps as your way to make that transition by taking massive action. Open up a Google Doc right now, and you're going to write down, based off of each one of these steps, the next actions that you're going to take, and you need to be taking these within the next, let's say this video is 20 minutes, you're going to take them at the 21st minute. You're immediately going to start taking action. In fact, you can even pause this, go take action on some of these, and come back, watch a video, and start taking more notes that you're going to take action on. Action is everything. Intention without action, it's a dream. You have a dream right now to have a rewarding and enriching job in cybersecurity, but it's going to take massive and consistent action on your part. Commit to that action. Now, what are you going to be taking action on? Well, the first thing we need to do is go through some of the jobs and understand the qualifications that it takes in order to get them. Once you get that idea of what you want to do, you need to pick one and take the massive action on getting the education, building the practical skills through your own portfolio and home labs and things like that. Then getting into the community, troubleshooting some of the issues that you're going to have in your home labs, getting ideas from some of the other professionals as to how they built up their skills as well, and rubbing the elbows to find out, hey, you know what? Is your company hiring? That's 2 of my last 4 jobs I wound up getting off of referrals in my own community. Then we're going to start ensuring we're taking internships, both paid or non-paid, or volunteer opportunities to get out of the, I don't want to call it pretend world, but the lab world, and into real life situations with real life enterprise security security, either networks or not secure networks, and helping them improve their security while building up your skill set, building up your education, and doing it in the real world. And last but not least, getting a job based off of everything that you've done, while also developing your skill set for interviews and creating the ideal portfolio. And this is another skill set in and of itself that many people overlook. And the one way that you can really set yourself apart is by understanding how to develop your resume, your online presence, your skills in display in a project type of list to get a job. And I've got a bonus, and it's exactly what I'm applying right now, and that is to be a constant and never ending learner. I have pivoted off of a very specific master's degree that I was working on, and I'm going into learning how to use uh, AI for automated penetration testing and vulnerability testing. And then I will pivot back into a master's degree after I get those skill sets, because those skill sets are what are going to keep me evolving and moving forward with this industry now. So you have to take massive and consistent action. You have to keep that learner's mindset and forever be growing. The first place that you can do both of those is right here on this channel. If you would just like and subscribe right down below, it's your first action that you're taking. You're committing to yourself that you're taking action on this, but you're also going to get every time I produce a brand new video, once you have hit that bell, you'll get notified via email. Also, it's going to help put that, when you like and subscribe, it's going to help put to the YouTube algorithm, hey, you know what? I like this guy. I like his videos. I need to see him more on my feed. I'll go ahead and let you do that real quick. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Let's jump in. So the first step inside of this is understanding the types of jobs and picking one. Now, there are several jobs in cybersecurity that aren't listed here. I mean, you can look at like compliance people like GRC or PCI DSS, things like that. A lot of times it's a cybersecurity analyst with a GRC or some kind of like compliance certification and experience. But there's some things that aren't going to be listed here. And it's because I don't have the qualifications to be able to teach you them, but B, and most importantly, a lot of times they aren't the most ideal for somebody that's just breaking in. In fact, penetration testing and being a security engineer / architect, or even being like a security consultant or a security technical project manager, those things are more mid-level. And I want to really cover the first three, but give you the option, if you are currently in cybersecurity, how to pivot into and stack on the skill sets that it takes to transition into some of these more senior roles. I also have been everything that you see listed here. So I have the qualifications and the expert experience of being each one of these to be able to help you get into it. So not only am I going to cover some of that here and in the video series that accompanies this, but I can answer questions on it too. So anytime you have questions, you can just put them down below. You can reach out to me on any of the socials, and I will be more than willing to help you. Let's jump into this though. So a cybersecurity analyst is kind of a catch-all term for somebody that sits and monitors alerts, responds to incidents, and analyzes logs. Now, these logs and these alerts are going to come in through a bunch of different signals, like endpoint detection systems, SIM detection systems against the network, any kind of like intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, firewalls, next-gen firewalls, web application firewalls, and pretty much anything where an attacker can potentially infiltrate a network. You get a signal from it, you get an alert, you review it, you figure out what that guy's trying to do, and you either kick him out, escalate it up to an incident responder, or you figure out what to do with it. That is essentially what a cybersecurity analyst is going to do. There's a lot of other things that they're going to wind up doing, like getting in and putting together reports and detailed analysis, figuring out weak points within the network, making recommendations to network engineers and security engineers as to how to harden the security, things like that. But just for an overall kind of like catch-all explanation, you monitor alerts, you respond to incidents, and you analyze logs. Now, it's a great place to start But I'm going to warn you, there if you go and you look at some of these job descriptions, it gets tough because cybersecurity analyst seems to be a catch-all for a lot of different roles that have a lot of differing experience. Really pay attention to any of these job listings as to what type of qualifications that cybersecurity analyst needs to have, how long you need to have worked in it. You're going to find there are some that are requiring 5 to 6 years in a role, and some that are requiring like just a certification with no experience. Um, there are two starting entry level certifications that will help you get a cybersecurity analyst job, and that is CompTIA Security Plus and or the ISC2 CC. I really lean towards the ISC2 CC. I'll cover that a little bit later. I'll give you links on how to get it and why I lean towards it. But those are the two that I really highly recommend starting with. And then once you've gotten one of those two, you can also go get your CISA Plus, which is CYSA Plus from CompTIA. But that's more of an experienced mid-level type of cybersecurity analyst. And this is where you start getting into more of the more high-level incident response analysis type of roles that a cybersecurity analyst can do. Next on here is IT support and help desk. Now, this is not cybersecurity. It is a start into network help, is a start into troubleshooting IT systems and software. And there's so many times that someone has downloaded malware or misconfigured the way that they log into a system, and it is a cybersecurity type of incident. You're troubleshooting user issues, managing devices, managing software. But what it really does is it builds hands-on system management and also troubleshooting experience. A skill set that it is really hard to replicate, except when calls come in and they're real weird and you're trying to figure out what the heck the person did and you need to get them back online. That is why I really believe that the help desk is a great place to start, even if you just do it for 3 to 6 months. There's two industry certifications usually that it takes in order to do this. It's CompTIA's A Plus or CompTIA's Network Plus. Sometimes people are also accepting the ISC2CC. That is pretty much it for IT help desk and support. Don't get caught. If you really want to transition into full-on cybersecurity, don't get caught down the path of trying to overwork in IT and help desk support and not taking on the other certifications that it takes in order to get into your other roles. But it can be and is a good place to start if cybersecurity jobs just aren't opening up for you. Now, the place I wound up making the biggest impact as a cybersecurity professional was working at a secure operations center, or a SOC. And a SOC analyst or an incident responder, what they do is they sit and they monitor and investigate real time alerts that come through a SIM system or some kind of SOAR system. And what you're doing is you're looking at the system signals against an enterprise system to see whether or not it's a real threat or not. SOCs have a tendency to be 24/7 monitored. This is one that you would wind up having to work shift work. So be mindful of that. It's one of the, I would probably still work at a SOC today if it weren't for the fact that the shifts required us to be on call. Sometimes you would lose some weekends. Sometimes you couldn't. If you were working an incident, you could not go home until the incident was over. And there were times that it would take several hours well past your shift because you were the one that caught the case and you needed to work it. But it was so much fun. And it creates such belief in yourself of being able to take on pretty much anything when a security alert comes through and you take action on it. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Now, certifications that you need for this: Security Plus, Splunk Core, Splunk SIM, the IBM Cybersecurity Analyst certification. These are the things that they're not just going to give you the certifications, but actually give you the knowledge and have the real world type of labs against security alerts where you get to take action based off of simulating exactly what you would be doing as a SOC analyst or an incident responder. Um, you're going to become a really good, strong analyst and threat hunting, develop your threat hunting capabilities. Next, we start getting into more of the pivoting type of mid-level cybersecurity careers. I'm not going to go into in depth in these, but if you're looking to make a transition in past being like a SOC analyst or a cybersecurity analyst or help desk person and into penetration testing, your best thing to do with this is an ethical hacker that hacks systems to identify and fix vulnerabilities. It's essentially what you're going to do. Sometimes this is just from running vulnerability scans. Other times you're going to get into a system, whether you know the system by heart or by a document or not. You're going to test every door, knock on every door, try every window, and see if you can break in. Now, there's a bunch of different certifications, but I'm going to tell you that these are a little bit harder and do require a little bit more experience and a lot of hands-on lab type of time in order to be able to be a good and effective penetration tester. You're looking at like the OSCP, Pen Test Plus by CompTIA, and the Certified Ethical Hacker from EC Council. This is highly technical. It's really good for people that can be creative, and this is a really rewarding career path. I have not personally been just a penetration tester ever, but I have done penetration testing as part of testing the security controls that I've stood up, and I'm actually actively working on AI certifications for being able to do penetration testing utilizing AI. So many people go into the industry thinking that this is where they want to start. You now know maybe it's best to get some years of experience under your belt with some of these other roles before trying to transition into a penetration tester, because you have to be experienced, because you could break a system or really do damage to it if you don't know what you're doing. So it's really important to know how to be a penetration tester appropriately to either be effective or not break stuff. I'm going to kind of cover these last two together. They're more advanced, and I've had both of these roles. In fact, I work both of these roles right now, kind of in a hybrid fashion. I do technical project management as what is called a security consultant. So essentially, what I do is I scope out some of the challenges and some of the issues that most of the enterprises and businesses that I work for might have. I create a roadmap on how to fix and solve a lot of those issues, and then work as a security architect to design out that roadmap from a technical standpoint on what we will actually implement within that environment, from, let's say, web application firewalls to bot management to endpoint detection to content protection from scrapers or whatever the case may be. Your security engineer and architects are actually going to do the work and stand up the work that is going to fix the gaps inside of the security. But the technical project manager, security consultant, is going to map all of that out and make the recommendations while probably not doing the work. Well, I have the capability of being able to do both, to manage the projects and also work on as both the engineer / architect, and I do both. And again, this has taken 6 years in order to be able to get to this point, and even beyond. And quite frankly, it's super rewarding. I love it. I design and implement like secure systems and infrastructure. I manage the projects, but then also do the work to help stand it up. While it's an advanced role, and it's more of like an ideal for like long-term goal inside of cybersecurity, I have seen people get to this point within just a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years. And yeah, it took me three to get to that point. But in all honesty, I've watched people that have real good hands-on experience, have walked either out of college or walked out of an internship and been able to get into one of these roles as either an architect or as a consultant with a good training program really well. You're looking at getting things like your CISSP, your CASP, CASP plus, CASP plus, even like AWS security professional. This is going to take a lot more time and energy, and these are some of the roles that more of the 3 to 5 year people are gunning for. I do remember the very first time that I was looking, I bought a book about 6 years ago, and this 300-page book detailed out every job and kind of like this roadmap. And I'm looking through it, and I read what a security architect did. And I remember turning and telling my wife, hey, I want this and I want this job within 5 years. Well, I got it within 3. Let's hope that you guys can do it within 2 or less, right? But yeah, that's the jobs, the certifications that it takes to get it, and why it would be good to take on that role. So when it comes to getting educated, there's a lot of different options that you have. And full transparency, I went through a cybersecurity boot camp, and the cybersecurity boot camp, it covered every single job that I had listed up there in some form or fashion. And it also came along with some industry certifications. Before I started my boot camp, though, I had gotten the the IBM Cybersecurity Analyst. I'm going to include links down below. That in particular is great. Coursera has a free trial to get and take some of their courses. If you need the certificate, you actually need to pay $50 for it, but you can get all of that information and finish this course within probably about 2 weeks. And I think the free trial, at least the free trial when I did it, was 30 days. And I managed to get through this course in 3 weeks. It was one of the very first courses I had taken on cybersecurity, but it was one of the best. And I highly recommend going through it because you're going to get real world experience. You're going to see how a SIM works. It can be free, and it's a great place to start. The other place I highly recommend starting is ISC2's Certificate in Cybersecurity. Now, again, there's a link down below. It includes both network type of information. You're going to get all of that framework of how cloud works, how it interacts with enterprise security, a lot of the internet protocols that you need in order to know how to work within networks. But at the same time, it then transitions into more of the cybersecurity type of aspects. This is an industry standard, and right now, ISC2 is offering this for free. They have an entire training certification, and you can take the test for free. So right there, you've got 2 certifications that you can get absolutely free with. I like the IBM Cybersecurity Analyst because you get hands-on labs and really know how to do it. But there's more. There's just a ton of information in the ISC2CC. Then we start looking at the paid subscriptions or the paid type of certifications. The third one on here, I have the top 4 of these, and I also utilize the paid platforms like TryHackMe. I love TryHackMe. And again, links down below. But the Security Plus is a standard for almost every cybersecurity analyst to get started with. Actually, anybody that's looking to break into the security industry. It isn't the hardest, but at the same time, if you don't have experience yet, get those first two and then and only then transition into your Security Plus. It's industry recognized and it's your baseline credential. And you're going to need it if you want to get any kind of job inside of cybersecurity that doesn't recognize the ISC2CC. Now, if you're wanting to become a penetration tester, get your certified ethical hacking. It is super expensive. For all intents and purposes, I think it's around like $1,100 for that certification. But if you also purchase their material to train you, it's around $1,500, and that's for students. It's even more more for people that aren't students. But this is an industry standard for penetration testers. You almost can't get a penetration tester job without either Pentest Plus or CEH, and CEH is significantly easier than Pentest Plus, like significantly easier. That's why most people start with the Certified Ethical Hacker for penetration testing. And then there's a lot of free learning platforms or learning platforms where you can pay to learn to get some of these skills. And places like Cybrary, TryHackMe, and Hack the Box, they actually have learning paths for the roles and the jobs that I had lined out. And a lot of these, you don't even have to build projects because you're nailing them with this. But that's how to get educated in this. So how do you start building those practical skills? That's where home hacker labs come in. So this is one of those where for the sake of just this video, it's not going to be quite enough to cover it. And I'm going to have to build upon this in later videos, but go in and download either VirtualBox or VMware Player and learn how to start setting up your own virtual boxes to then go and hack. You can set up a really vulnerable web server within an instance of one of these virtual machines and download something like Kali Linux that's going to have Metasploit and Burp Suite and Wireshark inside of it. And you go and you attack yourself and you utilize things like Burp Suite and Wireshark as a proxy or as something that's going to monitor the traffic where you're attacking these boxes. And take a look. Actually, I don't think I have it listed here, but like go and set up a SIM like Security Onion or Kibana, which are free, and start attacking these boxes and then going in and looking at the analysis of the logs. You know what attack you're launching. You go in, you look at the logs, and you can start identifying by eye and by knowing exactly what you've done in order to attack it, what is going on there. And then if you get into a SOC role or an analyst role, the second that you see, let's say you did cross-site scripting utilizing a payload through Kali Linux, you pass that through, you saw it get picked up inside of a SIM like Security Onion. It gets popped. You see it in the logs, and it happens in the real world that you see it, and you're like, wait a minute, this is a command injection. We caught it. Hey, this is a real positive, and we didn't deny this traffic. We need to do something with this. We need to be able to sanitize the commands that are coming through, or we need to make sure that the firewall, the web application firewall, is blocking for command injections or SQL injections. This is where these practical skills really start to pay off. And you don't want to cut corners with these because the more experience that you put into this, the easier it is. Now, one of the ways it's becoming to a point where you don't have to create your own labs because they have so many of these things like TryHackMe and Hack the Box and Capture the Flag competitions. But something that a lot of people take for granted is how a portfolio piece can show that you are actually willing to do the work and know what real life attacks look like because you are doing it in a home lab. These are clutch. And again, I'm just giving you the skills and the framework here. I'm giving you the framework and the education. Actually setting these up, well, that's another video for another time. Communities. Now, I highly recommend immediately getting involved in communities. Hacking is not a single person in a hoodie. I know I have me in a hoodie. Yes, I sit there in a hoodie and hack often if I'm cold or I need to get focused with a coffee. But it doesn't have to be a lonely thing. In fact, I have learned more from my community of people than I've learned probably from any other circumstance on earth. So here's the thing: you have to connect, you have to share, and you have to grow. And I'm telling you, you're going to find one of your jobs throughout the course of your career. You're going to find one of your jobs through your network. It's just going to happen. Some of the online communities that you can get into, one of the places that I started was Reddit's r-cybersecurity. Loved it. Got in there, started really participating and answering questions, but asking questions that really stumped me and really started to grow through that connection. Discord, it's kind of hit or miss with some of the places that, or some of the servers inside of there, but they do have some good ones if you do a search, or if you start getting involved in like Reddit communities, you might get invited to some really cool Discord servers where some of these hackers are displaying some really cool exploits or ways to do things. LinkedIn groups, they're full of mentors and recruiters. In fact, you need to go ahead and start showcasing and creating your profile on LinkedIn immediately, especially when you create some kind of like cybersecurity lab. Make sure that you're documenting it and getting it out there on LinkedIn. You could even be doing this with your YouTube profile. In-person networking, B-sides. B-sides is actually, I've only ever attended one of the events, and it reminds me of the 2600 events, which was a Hacker Quarterly event that I used to go to in Atlanta 25 years ago. It is a way to be involved in your local community where a lot of local hackers meet up, a lot of local cybersecurity defenders meet up. DEF CON. DEF CON has groups that are localized, but they are also a national event that you can go and attend these events. They also have cybersecurity meetups. If you do a search, even inside of Reddit, you're going to notice some of those. They can be hit or miss. In fact, some of them could be hackers perpetrating like cybersecurity professionals, and they're just hackers. And yeah, just you need to get exposure. You need to practice. You need hands-on experience, and you need other people in your community helping you do it. It shortcuts the issues when you can bounce off somebody. In fact, even utilizing myself and everybody within this community here, the Hack with Zach Discord comes with anybody that's actually purchased any course from me or has done cybersecurity mentoring. You can contact me privately about getting into that. But I'm telling you right now, your network is going to troubleshoot and help you land jobs more than any other thing that you do. Now, when it comes to internships and volunteer opportunities, you need experience, and sometimes you just have to create experience to get it. A lot of places, a lot of like churches and startup companies need people that have cybersecurity skills, but can't afford to pay you full time, but may be able to carve off some money for you to do things. So one of the ways I got started, I was going to work as a volunteer to help design out a cybersecurity plan for a startup, and they wound up coming up with the money for me to work for them. It was absolutely incredible. And, I helped them design out their entire cybersecurity posture. And I've seen a lot of places post on like Upwork or Fiverr where they need somebody with skills, but they can only pay a little bit of money for it. And these are kind of like internships or small opportunities for you to go in and build up your portfolio. But I do highly recommend getting into some kind of like IT or security internship through your network somehow. Uh, Even if you're going to college right now, there are university opportunities for IT and help desk support that cybersecurity, like doing identity and access management roles, will start to lead to other type of cybersecurity roles. Volunteer work, like their nonprofits, are a really good place. Maybe you need to help them set up like multi-factor authentication, do some changes on their network, just still making it secure, but make sure you're documenting everything that you wind up doing. Um, and again, like I said here, Upwork or Fiverr, great places for you to jump in, start doing some work, maybe start your skill level off a little bit lower, maybe creating a cybersecurity incident report, or creating a cybersecurity what enterprise needs to do in order to have better security as one of your work details, and get paid to do it. Transitioning into getting a job. Now, again, like I said, this is a whole video series in and of itself. When it comes to getting a job, you have to make sure that you have an ideal resume. And when it comes to resumes, one of the best places to start is utilizing an AI system based off of resumes that are submitted into some of these work websites. You can go get an ideal resume template. You can purchase one pretty easy, but then you ask AI to cater your resume specifically around the type of job that you're applying for. And you input the feed of all of your information, what skills you have, what work experience you have, and then you ask the AI to sort through the job description, populate that resume, and then spit it out. And then you go through it, make sure you do the sanity check over it, and then submit it. Same thing with the cover letters. AI can help you with that. When it comes to interviews are a whole nother thing, man. You with interviews, you have to make sure that you have like stories prepared of what you've done. You want to make sure that you're utilizing like the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, result. So this is how you solve problems. The situation, network went down because an attacker came in and changed the way our certificates were mapping. The task was for me to figure out how they got in and also make sure that we have the ideal mapping for our DNS certificates. The action that I took, myself and the network team went in and we remapped all of the DNS and configuration. And we also implemented DNSSEC to make sure that this would never happen again. The result was we got all of our systems back up online. They're now secure. We can't it would be very difficult for somebody to come in and hijack our DNS system or our certificates again, and we're better for it. You want to also go in any of these interviews, make sure you're asking as many questions as you're getting asked. If you, especially if you don't know something, ask. Be like, hey, I haven't ran into that before. Can you tell me what what are some of the steps that you guys take in order to do that? Oh, that's great. There's something I can learn. Oh, I've done something very similar. This is what I did. How did you guys do it? Um, Make sure you're researching a company. You need to know the company like the back of your hand. Like you need to know its products, any of the recent breaches that that company might have had, and what their security priorities are. In fact, that should be one of the number one questions that you ask when you go in. Hey, what is the focus right now? What will be my roles and responsibilities, and why am I would I need to be hired? And then you can tailor all of your answers based off of that actual knowledge of what the company needs you for. There's going to be a lot of questions that you're going to get nailed with and peppered with. You got to be prepared for. Like some of the common ones are like, how do you handle phishing incidents if you're a cybersecurity analyst, or how do you identify whether or not an email is legitimate? This one got asked to me. I remember I was a front runner. I got through 3 interviews and I got down to being one of the final 3 candidates for a role that I really, really wanted. And I froze up on one of the questions about um, doing header analysis on a phishing email, which was absolutely ridiculous. That I froze up on it, but it's simply because I was front running. I knew it. I went in with confidence and did not prepare for that interview, and I now know I won't make that mistake again. Um, you're going to be asked things like your basic CIA, like the CIA triad, how it works, and how you can apply it within a network. What's your favorite security tool and why? Things like that. You're gonna want to also make sure that you're showcasing your work. Make sure that they have your resume beforehand. Also bring in and give them the link to all of your work that you've done. That way they can click it, and make sure that you're responding immediately after that interview to any questions you might not have known and that you needed a parking lot. Respond with why it was a pleasure to work with each one of those people individually, email them separately, and also make sure that they have a copy of your resume. They have a copy, they know who you are and why. Personalize that email to them and include the link to your portfolio as well. Um, Last but not least, you got to figure out how to where to apply. So entry level positions, you're going to look for SOC analysts, IT support tech, junior security analyst, cybersecurity apprentice. Some of the platforms that you can look for to get hired on: Indeed, LinkedIn, Dice, cybersecurityjobs.com. And there's a student platform, Handshake, that you can apply for jobs there. There are some government pathways, and for the sake of this, I personally haven't been able to crack the government jobs yet. I do have a bunch of friends that are currently and actively working in government jobs right now. A lot of them use things like the U.S. Cyber Corps, the DoD 8570 roles, federal internships have a tendency to be pretty big as long as you have the qualifications. And a lot of times you have a very costly very costly top secret clearance. That's what has held me back from being able to get into these government jobs. I don't have the clearance, the top secret clearance. It costs a lot of money, but a lot of military people get that clearance. Then they come out and they get some really good federal jobs afterwards. Um, let's cover some of the bonus tips and let me get you guys out of here. You have to keep your knowledge up to date. I really recommend following blogs like Medium, the Hacker News, Dark Reading. Actually, I think is it Krebs on security? Is it Krebs? I think it's Krebs on security. Getting into podcasts like Cyberwire, Smashing Security, David Bombal. I like, in all honesty, I consume David Bombal and Simply Cyber daily, multiple times a day. Even Malicious Life, YouTube. Live Overflow. Network Chuck has become one of my favorites. He is a guy that he literally just gives you like really quick and easy to follow tutorials on how to do stuff. He's solved an issue that I had with a Kali Linux implementation. I've had the issue of it for 2 years. My instance kept resetting. One of Network Chuck's videos solved it in 10 minutes. I went from 2 years of having the issue to 10-minute fix. And it wasn't the fact he's now a cyber mentor. Troy Hunt, Addie Lamar has become one of my favorites. She's super, super smart. And don't forget, Hack with Zach, cybersecurity. You're here. You've already liked and subscribed. You're good to go. You do want to stay curious with this too. You want to read CVEs as they come out. You want to watch for the OWASP top 10 and MITRE attack framework updates. True story. I had no clue what I was doing and helping to try to configure the cybersecurity for a company. And I utilized the MITRE attack framework from beginning to end and implemented everything that they had within that framework into the very first job that I had. And it was arduous, it was long, it was a lot, but I learned more from doing that than I think any of the education piece that I had by just going in and trying to figure out how to implement what MITRE suggested and how to do it. That's really it, guys. So let's go through this one more time. Here's your roadmap. Understand the jobs and pick one. Get educated. Build those skill sets. Make sure with like hands-on labs. Join a community. Jump in with your internships and your volunteer opportunities. Get a job with all of the details that I shared with you, and keep learning. Breaking into cybersecurity, it's not about being a genius. It's really about being relentless. Constant, never-ending curiosity, constant, never-ending learning, and taking action. Each lab, each post that you make, each connection builds that momentum. And if you follow these steps and understand these roles, earn those certifications, get the hands-on practice, network, volunteer, and keep learning to sell yourself, you're going to stand out from the crowd. It's not just a job, guys. It's a mission. We're cyber defenders. You got to start today, document everything, show the world what you can do. That's it from me. Thank you guys for tuning in. If there's anything that you need between now and then, reach out to me on any of the socials, and stay tuned for more from Hack with Zach.